Hi again, this is episode 3 of my video log, and this is the first upper body session that I've taken some videos of. So this is the session that's based around press as the main exercise under the 5-3-1 framework, just due to someone basically using the squat rack. I had to swap the exercise order around a little bit. So this is me doing an assistance exercise, which is, as you can see, plate loaded pull down with an underhand grip. I initially did these both arms at the same time, but decided that I actually felt the contraction better, and it worked better as a lats isolation exercise when I focused on one side at a time and tried to focus on the contraction rather than just moving as much weight as possible. I actually switched out chin-ups for these, mainly because I felt that chin-ups again were becoming something that I was doing to try and move more weight rather than trying to isolate my back. So I think the reason that I'm doing these back movements is for both hypertrophy and assistance rather than a performance thing. So that's why I've chosen that, and that was a 3 sets of 8 to 10 double progression model. Moving on to press. This is just being done using the 5-3-1 framework again with some slight modifications, and this is the top set for the week. You can see that I'm not touching the bar to my chest when I'm doing these, and I'm using a stretch reflex when performing the reps. The main reason for that is that I find that when I lower the bar to my chest, it compromises the position that I'm in, such that I can actually move less weight as a result. I think it's essentially a mobility issue that my front rack position doesn't allow me to generate maximum force when the bar is resting on my chest. So all that ends up happening is I compromise shoulder stability and can move less weight. So I decided to make the change, and I basically use a lat shelf there to hold the bar in place around chin height. Focus on really leaning. I lean back during the lowering portion of the rep, and then try and push my head through between my arms and lock out so I get full flexion with the shoulders. So this is one of the ramping sets that I'm doing. So after as this is the 5 week for press, after my main set, I continue to add weight in increments of 2.5 kilos, and I also control the rest period. So for the 5 weeks, it's 2 minutes, and after the 2 minute rest is up, I'll then perform the sets on that weight increment until I reach an RPE of 8. So in other words, for the 5 week, I'm not really pushing the sets that far. They're nowhere near failure, or at least in theory. It can sometimes be quite difficult to gauge when you start a set how you're going to be able to perform. But I classify, as I've mentioned in the previous videos, I classify an RPE of 8 as being able to get 2 more reps at the end of the set. And I felt as though both of these ramp sets were consistent with that. So again, this is, I've added weight and rested for 2.5 minutes. And I then continue to perform sets of 5. Usually on the 5s week, I'll only get 2, maybe 3 sets at the most, just because the max rep set ends up being quite high volume, and then asking myself to do sets of 5 with heavier loads is quite taxing from a volume perspective. So I end up not being able to do that many more sets. And I think I classified this as an RPE of 8.5, and I'll leave it there. So RP of 8.5 is essentially, I might be able to get 2 more reps if I really pushed it, but it would be a grinder. So this is on the speed bench. It's using around 50% of my training max, and it's for sets of 3. So I attached a red mini band to the bench, and also rest for 30 seconds just to accumulate some fatigue and train speed work on top of a fatigue muscle, basically. Onto rows. I do these from a bench, try and keep my form strict, try to use very little if any body English, and really focus on pulling back towards me rather than just an up and down rowing motion. So that's the end of that session. A bit of a longer video this time. I've got another video log that's just being edited. I'm finding that it's difficult when I'm training in the mornings to video all my assistance work, so I think probably what I'll end up doing from now in the main is doing 1 video per week and just doing my top sets of each of the 5 through 1 lifts, with maybe 1 or 2 assistance moves in there if I get the opportunity to film them. Okay, well, that's video log episode 3, and I'll speak to you soon.